United Kingdom, we cross the Atlantic Ocean to the United States. Welcome to Road Atlanta for the second round of the Simufur iRacing GT3 Championship. I'm Denak, Kalmari, joined in the commentary box by Newbie for this race. Newbie,
hey, how's it going, guys?
The Le Mans race last weekend. That was also driven in Road Atlanta, so tell me, how does the GT3 starting here feel like?
Well, GT3's it's pretty strong, quite hard to me to do it, especially up into the hills when you go up into turn 3 and turn 4. Basically, turn 2 when you brake, it's pretty much a blind corner. That's where you have issues here. Coming into turn 3, and most of the time, drivers used to tend to miss their braking point, and when that happens, you're gonna go off into the runoff, and that's gonna be a problem for drivers here. That's where you lose a bunch of positions, and that's definitely not ideal for this grid right here.
Indeed, Road Atlanta is a track known for a lot of blind corners, especially going off into turn 3, turn 4 towards the S's, through turn 9 and through turn 11 as well. There's just a lot of blind corners, so there's a lot of commitment required from these drivers. Keep them on the track and also carry the maximum speed. We're going to be watching very closely, especially towards turn 1 and turn 2, where it's very vital to carry a lot of speed to get yourself, set yourself up right for the coming SS section here. So definitely a lot of exciting action to be happening here, and we're going to be now watching on board with Robbie Kelly, who finished, I think it was 5th place in the previous round. So we see him going off track in that exit of turn 5 here. Yeah, also another very tricky part of this track as well with the, again, there's like a lot of off-track possibilities here if you're just setting a bit too much over these blind corners.
Yeah, definitely. Especially turn 5, what you see there is a very big commitment for these GT3 cars. There's a very big curb on the right side of the track where, as you see Lord here, has to commit as they miss the corner, but you're supposed to brake pretty strongly and confidently there to make the inside curb for turn 5, and that will give you a very strong exit for the straight before you get into the turn 6 and turn 7 corners, before you head into the back straight, as we see here. Klaus doing it just right over the curbs. And with that, you carry a lot of speed here just for the braking of turn 6 and turn 7. And I think here, if you do it right, you might get some very strong overtaking zones for some drivers here. They're especially seasoned and veteran here. As you said here, Petit Le Mans this week, I think some of the drivers here have participated in Petit Le Mans. And because of that, I think some of them will have a benefit of getting more track time here. And to that, I'd say it's going to be a very interesting weekend. And hopefully we see a lot of big actions this week.
Speaking of experienced drivers, I think the one driver who we're going to be watching the most is going to be the #1 car. It's going to be Plasma. He was also competing in the Petit Le Mans series, and they are very, very, very competitive indeed. Also a professional esports driver, so currently I think they're holding the fastest lap time here at a 1:18.3, several tenths faster than Katie Timberbox, who is also competing in this series. Normally they would be in the commentary box with us, but for this round they decided to compete on track, and now we have Newbie joining us here instead. But speaking of Plasma, I feel like they're going to be the favorite going into this race here, but at least from their track record in ACC, I think there could be a possibility that just going a bit too fast somewhere or a mistake in the pit lane, going a bit too fast, there could cost them to not get the win that may perhaps be expected. As we see them going very aggressively over the curbs on that turn 5 corner here. But yeah, it's a possibility that despite Plasma being the overall favorite in pace, they might not be the winner.
Well, it really depends, because there's one benefit that he has here in iRacing, and that is pit lane speed limits here are slightly higher than ACC, and thus, with all those involved, as well as the fact that there is a very big warning as he enters the pit lane, I think he's going to have not much of an issue with the pit limits here, especially with the very weird pit entry here at Road Atlanta. But anything could go. They might get a drive-through if they mess up on the pit entry, but I think that's not just up for Plasma to make an error here because of how weird the pit entry here at Road Atlanta is. I think more than one driver is going to mess it up, but there's always hope that they remember to practice the pit entry right before qualifying, right before race time, just in case, and just so that they are prepared to get their pits right for this race.
Yes, with only a couple of minutes left in the practice session here, this is going to be the last opportunity for these drivers to get their setups right, dial in their speeds, their tire pressures, their fuel levels here, because it's going to be only a couple minutes before it's going to be time for qualifying, which is going to be 20 minutes where everybody's going to be going out at the same time to see who's going to be scoring the top position on this qualifying race here. The top runner, or in other words, the pole sitter in qualifying is going to be also getting an extra point, which might be coming crucial here towards the later rounds of this championship here, because we already have a couple of the drivers who were in the first round who are not competing in the next round. We have, for instance, Elias Vena, who was in very strong contention for winning the first race in Snetterton last round, but unfortunately they're not going to be able to compete with us today. So that's all. Every single point has got to be mattering for sure to see who's going to make it to the title. As we see quite some close driving here between Ian, though I think that's going to be. I'm not sure which Lamborghini that was there, but yeah, some close riding we already see here in the practice before the race has even begun.
Yeah, it's definitely. It's gonna be very interesting to see how the grid, as well as the standings for the season, end up with all the drivers participating and not participating this time around. At the end of the day, we all know every point matters, regardless of where you are on the standings, and you know every point matters. And who knows, one day you might be off by 1 point, and sometimes you just wish you were there just to get the 1 point from someone else.
Absolutely indeed. And now, looking at our times so far here, we're seeing some quite familiar faces here in the top 5. We already have Robbie Kelly, so we see currently driving down. I think that's going to be down the main straight towards turn 10A and 10B. Funnily enough, they don't want to call them turn 10 and turn 11. Instead, they're called 10A and 10B. Don't ask me, ask the track creators here why they want to name it that way. But anyway, for our top 5, we're seeing some familiar names here. We have Robbie Kelly again sitting in a top 5 position. We also have Klaus Steiermann here, who was also like a pretty strong contender in the first round as well. I think they got themselves a P3 result in the end. Not quite fast enough to challenge the top contenders, but you can see that as long as you keep yourself cool, keep your cool head, keep your car in control, you can get some really, really good positions in these races.
Yeah, and definitely it's all about making sure that you get the right exit as well. Turn 10A and 10B. People might think that you might want to cut it as short as possible, but a lot of people might not actually realize that having a good exit on 10B will give you mounds of time coming down to turn 11 as well as 12. That will give you basically half a 10 or more for your lap time, and that's very important for cars basically at the very end for the top 10 as well, top 5, just to eke out the last position in qualifying. And I think that's where people will start to get positions as we roll over into qualifying this time around as practice ends.
Yeah, there's also going to be speaking of exits, there's going to be the important exit of turn 1, where you need to carry a lot of speed to get yourself set up right for the turn 2, turn 3, 4, and the SS complex here. Like even a slightly unoptimal exit in turn 1 can cost you up to a second in lap time as well. And I've been watching on board with Jordan Johnson, also known as Plasma, going out on the first lap round at Atlanta. And as we mentioned last time around in Snowden as well, like despite these cars having tire warmers, the tires do not have their optimum temperature right as they roll out of the pits here. So we're not going to be seeing the absolute fastest lap times here on lap 1, but maybe after 2 or 3 more laps, we're going to be seeing the very fastest times.
Yeah, and that's always important for drivers to remember as well. Even though, as you said, tire warmers are available, they might not have the most grip, and sometimes drivers get caught out. That's where you see the start of qualifying, where some drivers that are not experienced enough start to slide their cars, maybe spin out here and there, and that's important to make sure that you don't catch yourself out. So just so that you will actually set a good lap time as well as not damage your tires during the process. But as you see here, Jordan Plasma leading the entire qualifying pack as they come into turn 10A and 10B, ready to start their flying lap. And I think I'm gonna be the one gonna be talking through you on board for Plasma. Yeah, as you come down into turn 11, down the hill for turn 12, a good exit here will give you a good run for their first flying lap, coming down into the straight for turn 1. Brake right as the runoff starts to happen. Gotta make sure you don't overrun here or else you go into the grass. High up into the blind corner of turn 2 and turn 3. Brake just right and not lock up your brakes. Up the curb for turn 3. Down into turn 4, hug on the inside the curb as much as possible without spinning out, coming down into the S's. Making sure you're as straight as possible. Brake for turn 5. And make sure you don't run too much wide into the grass as you do, and might have invalidated time. But yeah, that is an off track as such. They have to do it again. This is what that is very important for turn 5, is to not overrun it, because once you do, you're gonna have your time invalidated. But still, they are still pushing for turn 6, turn 7 on the back straight, and this is where drivers can have a breath of fresh air. You know, make sure they recoup themselves, prepare themselves for turn 9, which is this small right kink before turn 10 and turn 10A, turn 10B, where they would like to have a good run, and that's what Plasma will try to do, just so they can have some good top speed for the next run down for the next lap. As you see here, up the hill, cross the bridge, make sure you aim your car just right, not too much to the right, not too much to the left, just so you don't spin your car out. And it's going to be a lap here at Royal Atlanta as they go for a second flying lap.
That already looked like a very strong lap indeed, but unfortunately that tiny bit of off-track in turn 5 caused them to invalidate the lap time here. But we're going to be very confident to see them able to get the laps on the next lap here. Now we're going to be seeing our first laps coming up from other drivers. We currently have Robbie Kelly setting the provisional pole position at an 18.5. So very strong run from ST. Oh, that's going to be a Porsche going sideways on the exit of turn 5, I think that is here. That's going to be Spiral. That's going a bit too loose here. That's going to be the other thing that to consider. With a lot of elevation differences, a lot of blind corners, it might be very easy for the back end of the car to lose grip. You start spinning, and at that point, you just completely put your race in your lap.
Yeah, and taking a look at it, might have an idea of what has happened, but you can see here, maybe taking the curves a bit too, as they go a bit too wide for that corner. That's gonna be, I think, a lot of errors that we see from the newer drivers here, where they are not really sure where to take the curb on that blind corner. And seasoned veterans will know when to turn in, when to mount the curbs just enough to make sure they stay on track. But some drivers might have issues, and when you don't know where the edge of the track is as you press that corner, you're gonna have accidental dips into the grass, and that's when you have issues like Spiral did, spinning off for that corner.
And now we could have seen the first 117.8 coming off by Plasma. Just utter domination by the professional esports driver right here. Just showing the everyone else how it's done. And yeah, I don't think there's going to be a lot more competition for Plasma here. But speaking of these blind corners, that's going to be something the drivers will have to consider for the actual race. Because if they're going to be ending up in like a side-by-side fight with another car going over those blind corners, not only do you have to know where your car is, where the limits of the track is, so you can set up your car right, then you also need to consider how to do that while you're also battling another car, perhaps not taking the most ideal line here. So I'm not sure if that was also what you saw in the Petit Le Mans race, but I feel like if there's going to be some tight battling in like turn 3, turn 4, towards turn 11, turn 12, there might be some in that accidental door banging or pushing other people off track because they're just not fully aware of where the track limits of the track are.
Yeah, Petit Le Mans was interesting, where most of the LMP drivers had, as we see, Walkman kind of got in the way of the Dewey car. That's not going to be pretty for the drivers. I think that's going to be a protest soon, or maybe later, but who knows. But as you were saying, that yes, there is issues where drivers might have been a little bit impatient, or that because of blue flags, we might have issues in turn 3, especially turn 3, where we had most of the incidents happen during Petit Le Mans, and that's going to be a contentious point here. As you see, Fast Rock crosses the line for P9 and the 119.1. Pretty competitive field in the mid-pack. I see here 2/10 differences from P6 all the way to P9. And that's going to be a very interesting pack, ideally, to see where the fight is for this race, I assume.
Yeah, it looks to be a pretty tightly packed field here, looking at from our top time of, well, if we don't count our top pole time of 1:17.8, but from P2 all the way down into P14, we have everybody running within sub 120 times here. Even the slowest lap times here of the 121 here, they're not too far off from the elite times either. So it's going to be interesting to see how the field is going to be spreading out once the actual competition starts here. But we're going to be seeing if there's going to be any other competitors. So we're going to be watching on board with F-Spirit with their very blue and striking blue and yellow Ford Mustang here. One of the few Mustang drivers on the grid here at the moment. And if I'm correct, yeah, I'm looking at my standings and we only have 2 Ford Mustangs in this entire competition here. F-Spirit, the 777, and then it's going to be the 919 of Snowy, who has not yet set a lap time here at the moment. And I'm not quite sure if they are on the track, but maybe we'll see the lap times from them soon as well. And just generally speaking about the spread of cars here, it seems to be like a nice healthy variety here. We see Lamborghinis, Ferraris, Porsches, and Corvettes, and all the ones here. So do you think there's going to be any specific favorite car that might be able to be the favorite for this race?
Well, there are a lot of long straights here, and I think cars that are notoriously known to be good on the top end, they will be the favorites here. But it's surprising that we don't have much Fords here, because during Petit Le Mans, especially in my split, we do see quite a lot of Ford cars, and they were running pretty strong. We do see a couple of BMWs here on the grid, a couple of Fords, a couple of BMWs. Those are the standard front engine cars that we are used to seeing on the grid. I'm surprised that we have 3 Mercedes AMG cars here. I've not really seen them active on the grid, but as we see from Plasma, that's proven that if you know how to drive the car, you can definitely have it dialed in. The Corvettes are our most favorites here, especially with Newbie as a team driving most of them. But we also see outside of those teams, we have a bunch of Corvettes here. Not the most favorite amongst other tracks, but they seem to be pretty strong here, and it'll be interesting to see how the rest of the competitors here are able to set times in this race with the Corvette. Lamborghinis are pretty good. The new McLaren seems to be very strong, driven by KD now in P3. And the last of it all, the Porsches. They are not usually the most favorite cars to drive, but given the right hands, I think you're gonna see some good Porsche drivers that are able to eke out the last performance that we have on the 992 GT3.
Well, in Snetterton, we did see Elias Vena in their Porsche 911 able to score a pole position and very strongly in the lead of the race for the majority of the track here. So I think it would be, like, especially in this kind of level of competition, like the minute differences between the cars may not matter as much as in the very, very, very top level, where it might be mattering a bit more here. We can also see Athena Leclerc here currently sitting at P14, almost on another fast lap going around into the SS section here. Actually, they seem to disappear for a little bit. I think we have some connection issues with Athena, so they're going to be blinking in and out of the track. Apologies for that, but yeah, speaking of Athena Leclerc, they had a very good run in last time around as well. It's not a strong top 10 finish, so I think they're going to be hopefully repeating this result here for this round as well. But speaking of all of these different competitors, I'm going to also look at the top times here. Yeah, from P1 all the way down into P8, everyone's running in a 1 minute and 19 I suppose, so I think it could be down to 4, even 5 different cars to see who's going to be picking up the scraps of the the provisional pole position, because I feel like unless there's going to be some magic laps coming from Walkman or from Katie Fox, I think there's going to be a secure pole position for Plasma.
Yeah, Plasma now ahead 3/10, unless Walkman and Katie are able to pull out 3/10 from thin air. I think Plasma's gonna have a pretty easy walk in the park, but we also gotta remember that the race does not end at qualifying. We still have an hour of this race after qualifying, and that is very important for drivers to remember, that you don't win races at T1.
Indeed.
And it's
also
important.
Yeah, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and it's important for drivers to remember that they have to refuel as well. They are only limited to 65% of their fuel tank, and as such, they have to refuel, and pit stops are going to play a factor in today's strategy.
Yeah, pit stops were also what was done interestingly instead of last round, because we don't have mandatory tire swaps here for our competition because we are not technically able to do it. But we did see some drivers still opting to have a fresh set of rubber here for their cars. Some even opting to only switch out their rear tires or all 4 of their tires. So how do you think, how much of an advantage you would get from only putting on a bit of fuel and then also swapping your tires, even though that might cost you more time in the pit stop?
Well, from what I've seen from Petit Le Mans itself, tire wear isn't too much of an issue here, but you know, depends on the driver's comfort level, to be fair. So long as you think that it's worth the stability that you have from changing a tire, you might sacrifice a few seconds here and there in the pit stop, but if that means catching up to the driver in front, why not? But usually drivers will wish to not change their tires unless they forgot to tell their crew chief to not change their tires. That's going to be a very big hit in terms of their lap times, and as such, that's going to be unfortunate for them. But I think drivers need to remind themselves to not set the tires for the pits in the race, and just remember to refuel, and I think that will be just enough for the race itself.
Speaking of mistakes, there was also a bit of a story we had with Fez Fox in the last round as well, where they seem to have set their fuel levels manually. They started out with a full tank of fuel, 65% of the fuel tank they are allowed in the regulations, but they miscalculated their fuel by 1 lap, and on the very last lap they had to crawl into the pits. They lost several positions. I think they were running like for having a fight for 4th place, but because of that tiny bit of fuel miscalculation here, that's going to be something these drivers will have to absolutely be on top of, and that's also going to be affecting your pit stop as well, because there's not going to be any mandatory tire swap in the pit stop, which means if how well you are able to save your fuel, manage your fuel, that's going to mean you have a shorter pit stop, you get out of the pits faster, and that's going to be another factor for these competitors to consider when they're having a pit stop or when they're going to do their pit stop.
Yeah, pit stop time can be a factor, but it also depends on your fuel, as you said, your fuel management here. But you also need to make sure that you don't over manage your fuel, because as much as you'll say it, that pit stops can be a bit shorter, it's not worth coasting a couple of seconds. Just to gain maybe a couple of seconds in the pit stop. At the end, you get a net zero. But I think some of the drivers with their different driving styles will have significant impact in terms of their pit stop times. Because I know for a fact that I'm a fuel guzzler compared to my teammates, and that has affected our strategies pretty heavily. And I think drivers that are really good in terms of their fuel management while still able to eke out every last bit of lap time they could will be at favors of getting maybe just a position or two ahead of their competitors, and that's going to make sure that they get more points in this championship in the long run.
That also sounds like a lot of things to consider when you're driving. You need to manage your tires, manage your fuel, think of when you're going to be doing your pit stop and how to manage that as well. And for a lot of these drivers, I'm fairly confident they don't have any kind of race engineer in their cars to speak in their ear and give them that precious insight into how their car or when they should be doing their pit stops. So with that in mind, I think there could be we could see more of those mistakes where they may forget to do something. They may forget to toggle off switching their tires for the pit stop, or they may forget to fill their car up for the pit stop as well. So that's going to be something you have to keep in mind as well for the race. And looking at the time so far, we have everyone almost able to get a time here so far. We have a couple who have not been able to set a representative time on the lap point if my timing sheets are correct. But looking at the middle of the pack here, there's like a very tight sprint from P12 up into P15. Like all these cars are within half a second of each other. So again, it's going to be all down to those couple of tenths to see who's going to be able to get those positions here. Especially if we want to get into the top 10, it's all going to be down to just how well you can get those tiny like exits off turn 7, off the 10A, 10B chicane complex, and it's going to be interesting to see who's going to be in the top 5. What do you think? Like outside of Plasma, who's going to be the one to sit in pole?
Well, it depends on who is the more, as you said, who's the best at managing all those together. That's why always say sim racers, those at the front have to be the best of the best. Those that are able to think about the strategy on the fly, able to make sure that they stay concentrated and hit every single apex at the most optimum possible positions, as well as being able to think about all this and factor in the strategy, the tire management, temperature management, track conditions, wind direction, like what Elias has been discussing in chat the entire weekend. And it's important to see all of these factors. And I don't know, KD has been one of the more veteran drivers in iRacing that I know of. But it will be interesting to see drivers like RK maybe getting P2, Walkman maybe having a go at him as well. At the end of the day, we also know that Plasma might have some issues, even though we know that he is the esports driver of the league, as well as being paid to do this, as well as have how many hours of endurance down at this point. But it's anyone's game for me, I feel.
I mean, even if there end up maybe being some kind of mistake where they like hit a wall or hit another driver or spin out there, we do have available one fast repair for all these drivers. So they are gonna have some forgiveness in their mistakes, but we did see in the last round, I think it was a couple of drivers where they had their incident, they went for the fast repair, but unfortunately after that fast repair, they had some more further incidents. So there's also gotta be something, most of these drivers, who are maybe from ACC, they may not be quite as aware with how just unforgiving and how brutal the damage model can be iRacing, whereas in ACC, if you bonk a wall, you may get like a couple of extra seconds in your you're gonna be driving fine. But in iRacing, if you bonk a wall, you might fuck up your wheel, you might fuck up your suspension, you're gonna be losing several seconds of pace, and you might have to just retire from the race outright. Let's go fix it. And those repair times are gonna be taking many seconds, up to even minutes. Yeah, we're gonna be watching on board with Robbie Killing going through the complex of turn 7. Well, it's a bit wide on turn 6 there into the grass as well. There's also going to be this very awkwardly tight turn 7 as well, with kind of over a 90-degree corner as well. So I think this is going to be the corner that everyone is going to be having the most overtakes happening here, especially with its really long straight through turn 8, turn 9, towards the turn 10A, 10B chicanes, and especially in here. That's going to be where we're going to be seeing the most of the action, I believe.
Yeah, I think, as you said, the damage is pretty unforgiving here, and as you said, I think some drivers that are not familiar with iRacing will not know of how intense the damage is. As you said, a little bit tap here, your bumper might fall off. Accidental tap of your competitors right into your drive shaft. You might push your tow rods in. You might have a broken suspension. You might even have radiator damage, and that does just blow up your engine mid-race. So it's very important for drivers to know that this is kind of like real life. A little bit of damage goes a long way, and yeah, fights. It depends on the aero setup. To be fair, I think when you have a little bit of drag, the back straight is where most drivers might see the opportunity to overtake someone the most safest way possible. But if you have a setup that focuses more on the stability of turn one, of sector one and sector two, that's gonna be advantageous to them in other areas, but they're gonna see themselves getting really frustrated as drivers just pass them by on the straights, and that's gonna be something that drivers have to think about when they do their setup. Maybe maybe compromise on a little bit of the downforce, just so that they don't get eaten up by other drivers that have pretty low downforce here at the back straight.
Absolutely, and with only 2 minutes left in our qualifying session, we're going to be seeing our last runs of the session here so far. Plasma indeed is still holding on that pole position at 17.8. I think they got that on their second, and they've not been able to improve from there at all. But the fight still seems to be very much live for the top 2, top 3, top 4 positions here, with everybody on the track currently, hoping to get those improvements here. We also saw another 18.8 and some other fast lap times here. We're going to be watching on with Plasma again, just a class of his own, currently going through the chicane of 10A and 10B over towards the front part of the track here, but it's going to be interesting to see if I think Klaus is not currently driving here. It's going to be only Robbie, Katie, and Walkman who are currently in contention for the pole position here. It's going to be, I have to give a personal commendation to Robbie Kelly, because I'm fairly aware that Robbie was not driving in iRacing until like a couple months ago, and immediately, despite that they're already in the top of the field here contending for the potential podium positions here. So also going to be interesting to see if they're going to be able to get the pole position, or if they're going to be going for Klaus or Giando. I know Giando also had a very strong run last time, but I think they've already given up, and I think there's going to be an issue where some people have already realized, okay, I've done my best, I'm not going to be able to improve, so they're just going to be pulling over into the pits and just preparing themselves for this.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be a pretty good strategy for some of the drivers. You gotta make sure that you have the right fuel before a race. You do not want to go into the grid without fuel. But as you said, RK being able to get up to speed, because I think some of the drivers might not know, if they haven't raced in ACC in iRacing. ACC GT3s are definitely very different from the way iRacing GT3 drives, especially with the tire model, with how the car behaves under bumps, and how the suspension behaves. And it's very impressive to see RK so high up in the grid, being able to fight with the veterans like KD as well as Plasma for the top contention. As we see Zizor, I think, parking up as qualifying ends here at the with the 20 minutes remaining finished, as we see all the drivers trying to get the last lap in for qualifying, as Spirit going in for the pit entry for practice. As we always said, pit entry is very important to make sure that you don't get any extra penalties, as well as any additional time loss, too much time loss when you come in for the pits. So that's going to be important to practice, and as well as some of the drivers want to make sure that they don't push it too hard and push it to the very last millimeter on pit entry, because that's how you get into incidents. You have drivers in front that might break a bit earlier than you, might have issues with having a queue coming into the pits, and you do not want causing more incidents that you should be when coming into the pit lane. And I think that's when important to start practicing for a pit entry right before the end of qualifying right now.
Some of the drivers will have to keep them under pressure. Now we're going to be watching on board with Anton Berespo on their very last lap. I think they're one of the few drivers left on the track hoping to improve on the lap time. We also saw an improvement from Jack Mace, getting to just a little bit over the 19 threshold here. We also see Callum Mooney, also known as Vex, finishing their lap time with a 19.054. A very, very tight spread from P11 down into P15 with everybody within the same 10th here. So some very, very close timing here. I think it's now going to be only Jack Mace left on the track as the only driver trying to get a single representative lap time on board here. But some very close fighting, I have to say. With everybody else now finishing on the lap time, it's going to be officially confirmed Jordan Johnson, Plasma, is able to secure the pole position with a 17.841. Congratulations to him. We're going to be watching incredibly on Jack Mace's on board to see if they're going to be able to get that one last lap time here. Now going through turn 6 to turn 7, get that exit just right. A bit of a glitch here. Oh, yeah. They ran out of time. So that's going to be it for our qualifying session, second round of the Simufur iRacing GT3 Championship. And it's going to be confirmed indeed Jordan Johnson able to get that dominant result with a 17.8 class of his own. But it's going to be Martin Oliveira and Katie Timberfox right behind them, as we can see on our starting grid here, with Robbie Killing rounding out the second row of our starting position here. Starting up in P5, it's going to be Klaus Steinman with a very impressive time as well, joining up alongside their fellow rival Giando, who also was fighting alongside in around the same area in the Snetterton round as well. Starting up in P7 is going to be a new driver, Josiah Waski, a familiar iRacing driver, but hasn't been in Simufur Racing series before this round. Who's joining alongside by Zezor's the Ridge Racers project car in P8. Let's hope they're going to be able to get a better run this time around. Starting up in P9, it's going to be Fez Fox, who has not been able to get the kind of lap time that they were hoping for here. Join up alongside our another newcomer of F Spirit in the 777 Ford Mustang. In P11, we have Jack Mays from the Fireband Spitzer team running out our top 11 spot here, with Anton Bersbo right alongside them in P12. Going further down on our field here, we have a Turbo, another new driver into our grid here from New Zealand, Australia area, sitting at P13 with an Inigo Lopez, another one of our Oceanic drivers, starting out in P14. Then another Bluey driver is going to be Kaulan Mooney, also known as Vex, sitting up in P15, join up alongside Athena Leclerc down in P16 spot here. At P70, we have our first sightings of our RNG racing cars here. It's going to be the car 042, excuse me, of Panu Siitonen, sitting in that green and black Mercedes, joining up alongside by the second last Bluey driver of Oily Rags. Going along we have also Malik Guzens, another new driver in our Danish driver, sitting up in P19, joined up alongside William Schlesinger, also known as Weiss, our American familiar Husky, in P20. Rounding up our grid, we now have then Hakio Isometsa in P21, the final RNG racing car, joined up alongside by Snowy in P22. Then we have, as the cars are rolling down all their formation laps, got to be Wolfing Foxtail sitting up in P23, with Spiral rounding out the grid in P24. Actually, I apologize. I was missing a couple more cars here. There's also got to be the car number 25 of Zine Frostmaw, Skylar Vixen, and JPEG. I feel pretty confident that Skylar Vixen and JPEG have not participated in this race. They're not going to be... Oh, they're moving? Okay, so... Excuse me, they are indeed moving, so they did not get any lap time on the qualifying session here. So those going to be the drivers to keep an eye out for if they are going to be able to get some more positions up throughout the race.
Yeah, actually in qualifying, we do see JPEG trying to attempt for a qualifying run, but unfortunately, I think given with the amount of off tracks, they have been trying to push for the lap times. Unfortunately, did not qualify for a valid lap time, so they will be starting at the back of the grid. Hopefully, they'll have a good run for at the race start. It's going to be pretty chaotic coming down into turn 1, especially into the blind corners of turn 2 and turn 3. So it's going to be very important for drivers to just be careful, stay as safe as they could, just to not get a very big chaotic start. And it should be fine for the rest of the drivers to make sure that they can finish it at the end of the hour.
We can already see the cars going bumper to bumper almost in this formation. Now you're now going into turn 6 and turn 7. There's also got to be something these drivers may not be fully aware of in iRacing as well, where the rolling start works a bit differently from where it is in ACC, whereas in ACC you're set to be at a fixed speed and you go on the green here. But in iRacing, it's basically like a safety car restart, where as soon as the safety car rolls in, the leader's going to be controlling the pace, and they can just go back up to speed whenever they want to. And now we're going to be then just riding their brakes, weaving a little bit left and right here, get their tires and brakes up to temperature for this important launch into... I feel like it's going to be like a very big launch into after the exit of 10B. We're going to be seeing the fights happening here.
Well, I think it depends on how Plasma holds up the grid for the formation lap. But usually for Road Atlanta, at least, when you're this close to the safety car, your start is going to be as the Plasma tries to kiss the safety car in front. But they'll be usually racing right at the start as the safety car comes into the pit lane. So it'll be pretty interesting to see how the thing goes. But as you see here, coming down into turn 10A and 10B, Plasma's already ready to get away from the grid. Coming down,
safety
ready
car
for
is not going to be coming in. It's going to be now controlling the pace by Plasma. They're going side by side through 10A towards 11, 12. They're just going slow, just inching slowly. Plasma getting that launch really, really late. And that's going to be off. It's going to be Plasma with a mega launch into turn 11 and 12. They're just catching everybody else side, pants down. It's going to be Katie Timberfox and Martin Olivier going side by side into turn 1. It's going to be also RK and Giada right behind them. So joining up at the transfer. It's going to be kicking on the inside into turn 1. It's going to be just squeezing Arthur Olivier just on the outside now, going to be again bumper to bumper into turn 2 and 3 and 4. Everybody's getting nice and tidy here, but some good launch and good fighting from Plasma to get that early lead here. That's going to be down to these Arthur competitors to get it on side. We also see another car. It's going to be, I think that's going to be, yes, that is exactly, Jack Mason going also for the fight going into the SS section through into turn 4 and 5. It's going to be a very good, clean launch from everybody.
Yeah, surprisingly, everyone's clean, single file, besides the Bluey car that we see here, the Porsche, having a fight with the other Bluey car as well. Bluey A and Bluey, it's different Blueys that we see here coming down to turn 6 and turn 7, fighting for positions. Surprisingly, everyone survived single file coming to the turn 3 and turn 4. Now everyone's back straight. Here now it's just a long drag. Some of the drivers in the draft are gonna have a good tow, but as you see here, the sister cars fighting for positions, coming down into turn 10. Who will have the better tow? As we see the Corvette, the inside of Turbo, having a better run into the corner, but Vex might outbrake him. No, they think better of it, brakes earlier, just so they can slot back into the draft for the next lap. As you see, oh, a car spun. Who's that? That is Klaus, I think.
That is spun
out.
Wheel may have some damage as well. That wheel does not seem to be pointed the right way. We're going to have to see the replay to see what exactly had happened there. A very unfortunate run from them, but hopefully we can see soon what happened here. Now we're going to be, yeah, we're going to be going back on the replay to see what exactly happened. They were fighting side by side with Martin Oliveira. They actually lost quite a few positions unexpectedly here, but
oh no!
Oh yeah, they just went a bit too deep into the. Oh yeah. Bit too wide onto the exit of 10B and then spun around and got collected by the McLaren of, I believe that was Vestfox who just got hit hard, and I think that car, yeah, they're limping back into the pit lane to fix that car, so an unfortunate mistake that cost them very clearly.
Yeah, I think that was going to be a very close call. I think either they might have got spun by the Mercedes behind, but oh, as we see another car spun here, that's Josiah down into the grass at turn 6. Oh, it's gonna be a very risky rejoin as they come back into traffic, but luckily no contact as they come into turn 7. Gonna have a very long run.
Place for them to go off track. Let's see if we can see Omar what exactly had happened. But yeah, they're just going down into turn 6. They're just going fine, and yeah, nothing here. Oh, yeah, a bit too much on the exit of turn 6 caused them to spin out onto the track there, and causing them a lot of time here. Also, that very dangerous spot because all of these cars are going to be right on the outside, so rejoining is going to be causing them massive amounts of time, as we just saw there.
Yeah, I think what comes down to is that Josiah might have a lower downforce on the setup, and thus because of how downforce dependent the Mercedes is, that might have upset the car as they lift coming down into turn 6 and thus having a little spin. This is here Jack Mace coming down into turn 4, fighting for position, trying to defend it against Aspirit behind in the Mustang, pounding on them just to make sure, just to pressure them, see if they can make a mistake out of them or not. But Jack Mace going strong here for the position coming down into turn 6 and turn 7. Gonna be a very strong fight between the car in front as the car and the Mustang behind for this entire race.
Yeah, we're also seeing a very close fight between P2, P3, and P4 here with Katie Fox, Robbie Kelly, and Walkman having a good close fight here. We also see a fight happening between Athena Leclerc and JPEG going up on the exit of that car. Oh, very close fight here. Apologies, that was the car of Zine here also fighting with Athena Leclerc. Now they're going up nice over-under move here from Athena Leclerc to get ahead of Zine into turn 7. Now just accelerating that car down the long straight towards the turns 10 and 10. We're also seeing another fight happening between Skylar Vixen and Josiah. Josiah having a bit of a recovery drive after that spin here. It seems like Josiah having a nice deep launch into 10A, 10B, able to get that run here. And it's going to be just down to a recovery drive for Josiah. See if they're going to recover any more positions after that race.
Yeah, as you see here, RK trying to push as much as they can, defending against Walkman now. The Corvette behind, basically right up the bumper, and it's gonna be a problem for them to see to make sure that they stay inside. Oh, as you see, Walkman having a good run down into turn 6 as he coming on the inside. Will RK be able to defend it on the inside for turn 6? A little bit on the overrun, but oh, side by side. Oh, as they do touch a little bit on the door banging, but the Corvette has overtaken RK, and it's gonna be up to RK to see if they can able to answer that after that. Ooh.
Yeah, we're also seeing a fight happening between Hakio Isometsa and the BMW of Reese here, but actually that was a bit of a late launch here from Hakio Isometsa, costing them time, also giving them right into the hands of Snowy, who's right behind that, in that Ford Mustang right behind them. So there's also going to be something to keep in mind in turn 6 and turn 7. The outside line in turn 6 seems to be the better line for overtaking, whereas because you can carry way more speed, get a better run into the exit of turn 7 in in turn here. So it might make more sense usually to defend the inside, but we're going to be watching now another fight happening between F-Spirit and Jack Mason now going into the first straight here, going on with a very, very tight fight between these two competitors here. Just fighting happening up and down, left and right in the entirety of the field here, but that move didn't quite manifest here. Jack Mason decided to back out for the SS section here to fight another day. And yeah, so much fighting. Everybody's just bumper to bumper still, besides the car of Plasma, which has been a classic zone as we just expected.
Yeah, Road Atlanta, given that how tricky the track is here, we're gonna expect drivers to go up and down the grid as they make sure that they are, as you see cars, as you see Weiss, I think overrun. Oh, as we see them getting hit. That is a big hit from Weiss by the Porsche, and they didn't hold their brakes. You're supposed to hold your brakes coming to the S's. Almost got into the bigger accident than they should have. Both cars are recovering as we see the Porsche of JPEG, I think.
Yeah, that BMW looks stricken after that. We're going to have to see on the replay what exactly had happened. They were now going, I believe that's going to be the exit of turn 6?
That's turn 1.
Yeah, turn 5.
No, that
yeah,
was turn 1.
Apologies, yeah. Turn 1 going to turn 2 and 3.
Oh, they slide
into turn 2 here. That caused them to go a bit slow on the rejoin and then trying to join steady on the track here. But I'm not quite sure what exactly happened here. Yeah, just a very strange incident from the Porsche right there, where they just ran right into the back of the BMW. Not sure if there's like some issue where they couldn't see them or what exactly happened there. We'll have to see that later in the steward's office, I think.
Yeah, unfortunately, a bit unfortunate for Weiss, especially given that they had a little bit of a shaking entry for turn 1 and with that off track, the rejoin. And unfortunately for them, they might have a re-damaged back end. It's gonna affect them on their drag coming down the back straight, but the car is still in one piece. They should be able to still be able to finish this race. Might be able to take some optionals during the pit stop. So hopefully they're able to recover from this race. As you see here now, Bespo in P9, fighting for Jack May's position. Already lost the spot with Aspirit just then, earlier on. So now, will Jack Mays be able to hold down P8 or will they lose another position? And if that happens, will Suzuka P10 be able to see what, be able to fight back for the position as well? As you see Josiah, oh, side by side, next to, is that Mali? Yes. No, that's the Mercedes of Hakio, correct. Coming down to the back straight, a very strong recovery drive for them now in P17. They're gonna want to make sure they claw back the 10 positions that they have lost since the start of the race, to make sure that they are able to fight back for the grid in front, and that move there is gonna make sure they have clean air, and hopefully they're able to stretch their legs once they have the clean air that is right in front of them right now.
We also saw a bit of a peak happening from Snowby into turn 10A and 10B here after that run here. But that's going to be also something the competitors will have to keep in mind. If they get a poor launch into turn 6, they're going to be wide open for another car right behind them to make an overtake. We see Snowby now again really close into the bumper of Haki Estimates, having another peak into turn 1. Hoping to have a bit of a sit here, but that's not going to be the way to go here. They backed out that move and thought to fight for another day here. That seems to be the big idea here, is that it seems like the outside line for most of these high-speed corners here through turn 1, through turn 6 seems to be the better idea, whereas we can carry more speed than the car on the inside, and that helps you get the overtake made.
Well, that's more because, especially in turn 6. Turn 6 is a very cambered corner, and because of its camber, you can also work on work with it to your advantage. Make sure that you can carry more speed. As some drivers think that they could do more on the outside. Ooh, as they see Walkman trying to make an overtake on KD. I think that has not happened yet. Oh no, that's now though back to back. Oh, the gap's pretty close, but still very strong. Hopefully Walkman tries to have a crack on the McLaren of KD, and maybe even have a crack at P2.
Yeah, Walkman had a really good run on overtaking Robbie Kelly into turn 6 earlier, and now they're going to be back on the fight here. Now we're going to be seeing that replay again here from the onboard of Walkman into the turn A, 10B complex here. They had a bit of a peak. They thought about making that send into 10A, but they thought back down. But they tried to get the better launch into 10B, but they pushed a bit too much on the exit of that grass here. Again on the grass into turn 11 as well, losing a lot of time in that opportunity to overtake. But yeah, Walkman has not had the most ideal race so far. Trying to, as you see, they're navigating around some black traffic. I think that's going to be the Porsche of Spyro that they just went around here. But yeah, Walkman has, actually, we just saw Walkman overtake Katie. I'm not quite sure what exactly how that happened, but yeah, Walkman did not have like the best start here. Now they just back up into P2, hopefully maybe have a challenge from Plasma. But it's going to be not happening soon here, because we're going to have to watch on the replay to see what exactly had happened with Walkman and Katie here. They're now going through the SS. Oh, it's
Oh,
going to be the lap traffic car of Spiral. Yes, they slowed down Katie enough where Wackman can just breeze right by them, and that just cost them dearly. And that seems to be the thing that you also have to consider. The track is very tight in some sections, so if you catch up on lap traffic in the exact wrong time here, that's going to be costing you a lot of time in potential positions. And we also saw, again, an overtake that happened between Walkman and Katie. We missed out on the replay. We missed out on the broadcast again. So hopefully we can see a replay of that as well.
yeah, it's going to be a very strong fight between the two of them. Going to be back to back to back, and I think it's up to, as you said, the luck of the traffic. We have currently a blue flag driver, Spiral, currently in P26, and that's going to be a problem for some of the drivers when you catch up to other drivers on the grid. The S's are notoriously hard to have lap traffic here, and usually when you have to fight for drivers, as we see here, Walkman and KD side by side coming down to turn 6. Will Walkman get the run for P6? Maybe side by side as he come for P7, turn 7. Turn 7 is an off-camera corner. If you don't brake right, you might lose the car as KD still defends for P2. Walkman still on the back straight, be able to get a tow from KD, but will the McLaren have enough run to make sure that they are able to overtake them? That's going to be hard, but as RK taking the back seat here, making sure that he is there as close as possible, just in case they have any mistakes to happen, and that's when RK is going to be able to pounce and take advantage of any incidents that may happen in front of them.
Yeah, RK has been like a shark in the rear mirror of the Corvette and McLaren cars ahead of it, just waiting for any mistake to happen between these two drivers and just say, thank you very much, I will have this position, but that has not manifested so far. It's all going to be just down the pitch here, because it just seems like RK can just about hang on with the two cars ahead of it, but not quite fast enough to challenge them for position. So it could be just down to an unlucky overtake or some contact between two cars, or just an unlucky traffic that's going to slow either of them down to give Robbie Kelly the position here. And also looking further down the field here, we also see some very close fighting happening between Burspo and F Spirit and Inico Lopez sitting in P8, P9, and P10, all of them going very close to each other on the overtake. We're going to have to come back to them later, because there's going to be another run happening from Walkman going into turn 6, going up again, trying to have another move on the outside into turn 6. Let's see if Kenny can defend. Yeah, just out, shutting the door, touching bumper to bumper, just slamming it right shut there, and just able to handle that position. But the more these people fight, the more it's going to be slowing each other down and giving Robbie Kelly the opportunity to maybe have a peek and an overtake.
To be fair, RK might also be might be enjoying the fact that they are fighting in front, because he might be just using it as a reason to feel safe. As you said before, a fuel save here might be able to give them a second or two advantage when it comes to the pit stops, and with that, they might be able to save so much fuel from just coasting and see how the cars in front fight, because they're gonna slow each other down. RK's gonna get slowed down. They know for a fact they can't fight for plasma, so they might just be taking advantage of the fact that they are fighting. You might as well save fuel here. You know, don't need to fuel in maybe 2 to 5 liters of fuel, and just like that, you can be able to beat them in the pit stop as the two in front push as hard as they could, and that's gonna be a very big advantage for RK if they can take it through.
They're also sitting very far away from Keanu, who's currently sitting at P5, so they're going to be way easy and far away from any other competitors to challenge them. We're going to be now watching the fight between Jack Mace and Anton Burspo here, sitting now currently at P7 and P8, having another look through the exit. They're going to be going back into the fight between Walkman and Kate again. These competitors are just not letting up at all. Just fighting almost every single lap, almost going round and round, and now it's going to be Walkman trying to get that move done on Katie, where hopefully we can see on the onboard what exactly had happened here. But yeah, these competitors all seem to be evenly matching their pace here, so we might see this swapping happening all throughout the entire race here. There's going to be some mistake that causes them to spin out. Going back now on the replay for KD Walkman to see what exactly happened. It's going to be, again, that exit of turn 5, which I believe is going to be the crucial one. Yeah, KD just compromised their exit into turn 1, which allowed Walkman to get up right alongside through a drag race into turn 6, and then that better run up into turn 6 and enabled them to secure the position. So yeah, it's down to those very, very tiny mistakes to see who's going to be the last of the runners here in the top 2.
Yeah, I think also KD might have recognized as well that fighting for that position might compromise the 2 RK that was behind them. And I think just because of that, they might have coasted just slightly, just so that Walkman can be in front and KD could tuck in right behind, just so that they don't lose as much time as they could to RK that's right behind them. I think it's important to make sure that KD also understands that despite them fighting close with Walkman, they have to make sure they work together to make sure that they can get away from RK, which is just right behind them. And that's going to be a very big strategy that they might think to work around with as Klaus overtakes Zim right here on the back straight. Both fighting for position, coming down to turn 10 side by side. Who's gonna win on the braking? As we see the Ferrari actually no, both Lamborghini and the Ferrari. Actually no, both Lamborghinis fighting for position right now. Oh, as we see the BMW trying to trying to take advantage of the issues.
Reese checking up on the overtake from Zebas.
Oh, they kills each other.
Oh,
that is unfortunate for the BMW.
Oh, that is not ideal at all. Weiss and Zim just going unnecessarily close together on the exit of turn 12, and that caused Weiss nearly to spun right around. It's going to be Jordan Johnson flying right by them with a class of his own on the entire field, a whole almost 10 seconds ahead of the top 4 cars behind them, and just nothing else to challenge them at the moment.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch that back again and see what has happened. That is pretty unfortunate for the 2 drivers here. Side by side coming down to turn 12. Both running a good exit. Oh, but Weiss just turns in on Zim. That is very unfortunate for Weiss. Maybe they thought they have cleared them, but that's pretty unfortunate. That's going to maybe cost them their race. They did slam the wall pretty hard. That's going to have some suspension damage, and that's going to be not ideal as they have to tow back into the pit lane for their repairs, and that's going to be pretty unfortunate for the drivers. As we see RK here, P4, right at the back of Katie here. Katie seems to be compromised for the exit for the back straight, and that's going to be probably an opportunity for RK if they are really close on the bumper. Now it's come down to who has the better downforce or the better top speed here for the corner for turn 10, but RK still tucked in very close to Katie. Katie slamming in, shutting the door on the inside, and coming down to turn 10, Katie still holds the position pretty strong. It's going to be another lap for RK behind Katie, and we'll have to see later on if... Oh! Compromise exit! RK has the position from Katie. That is going to be unfortunate for Katie, losing to P4 as RK comes to 3.
I think that may have been a slowdown from Katie, because that one seemed unusually slow on the exit with turn 10A and 10B, causing them to slow down and give the position to RK. But this is exactly what Walkman wants here. And we're not going to be watching again on the onboard, them just fighting side by side into the chicane of 10A, 10B. But watch on the exit of...
Going wide
on the exit of 10B, causing them to go wide. That's probably going to be a slowdown for them, causing them to lose that position to RK. But this is exactly what Walkman wants. With the more RK and Katie fight each other, the more he's going to be able to get ahead. Actually, they're already almost 2 seconds ahead from RK in this position, so exactly what Walkman wants.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty a sigh of relief for Walkman as RK and Katie both fight for positions, but they wish the RK would fight a bit longer with Katie, because right now, because of how Katie pretty far off from RK, Walkman's going to have pressure from RK sooner or later, and that's going to be a problem for Walkman to deal with, maybe in a couple of laps.
We're going to watch them closely now with the onboard of Josiah Waski having a challenge on Mali right ahead of him. Still on a recovery track, almost back up into the top 10 positions here now on the big long exit of turns 8 and 9 towards turn 10 to see if they can have a launch here. That's going to be the engine of that Mercedes, going to be giving them good advantage into the straight line here. Let's see if they're going to be having a peak into the 10A, 10B chicane. They are on the inside, they have the peak. Let's see if they can just launch right
strong dive
on the brakes. A nice and clean move right past them. That's going to be something Mali and others might consider. Like, if they realize there's going to be a much faster car behind them, it might not be the best idea to just fight super aggressively to fight them. Instead, just let them by and focus on your own race.
It might be strong, but as you see, it's a pretty late move from Josiah, and luckily enough, be able to make it in the corner, but they definitely be able to box in Mali, and unfortunately I think Mali had to slow down just slightly as Josiah was right in the way of them, and just like that, Josiah was able to continue to press on. Now currently 6 positions away from their current original qualifying position. It's going to be a very strong goal for Josiah to keep pushing on. And the next target, Paschetti. Weiss crawling on track, not sure what has happened. Maybe a suspension damage from previously, but we'll have to kick back to see what has happened. Ooh, as we see here, definitely not the best time for Weiss as they missed turn 3 again. That is going to be a problem for the driver, especially as the night comes down. A lot of the markers are starting to get darker and darker, and that is going to be a problem for Weiss as they try to rejoin slowly maybe, or I'm not sure if they're having issues with their car. End of the day, it's going to be not just a problem with Weiss, because at the end of the day, as you see here, the track is getting darker and darker. A lot of the drivers' brake markers, as well as other markers for the corners, are getting a little bit darker as the car track does not have full illumination the entire track, and just like that, drivers will have to, if they're not used to this, have to start finding new markers, and as soon as possible, just to make sure they are able to stay on track the entire race.
We'll have to see how that develops. We're not going to be watching somebody who we not really talked about that much. So that's going to be the car number 83 of iRacing, who was starting out in P18, and they've gained a whole 7 positions. Now up, challenging Vestfox for the final of the top 10 positions here, going out through the SS right on the bumper of the McLaren ahead of him. The two McLarens just fighting almost side by side. We also see another fight happening right behind them between Josiah and Beschetti. Also, Josiah on a big run here to hopefully get back up to the position they were looking for here. It's going to be kind of a funny, like, two McLarens and the two Mercedes both fighting each other for the best position here. That's also going to be nullifying the advantages each car might have between them. So it's just going to be mostly down to driver's skill to see if Beschetti can hold off that advance from Josiah behind them, and if Vestfox can also hold off that advance from iRacing right behind them.
It's definitely going to be interesting to see, as we see right now, Josiah right in the back of Beschetti. Will he be able to do it, right? He's going to do it on the outside though, right? So he goes almost side by side down to turn 10. As he has to run. But will he be able to outbrake them into the corner as Beschetti has the inside, side by side, going into the 10A and 10B, almost banging doors, but Josiah has the move done. Coming into turn 11, turn 12, and that's going to be another position for them. Slowly but surely, climbing up. The next car, the McLaren of 83 of Daniel Taberner.
Yeah, and right behind Beschetti, there's also got to be the car number 29 of Mali, also eager to make up some more positions and get around Beschetti, going up into turn 1 towards turn 2 and to the SS. And they're looking very racy as well. But SS is not going to be a place where he's overtaking. He's going to have to be very patient going out through this left, right of the SS to see if he can get a better launch into turn 1 and have another move sent here. Everyone else seems to have spread out a little bit on their lap time, so there's going to be... Oh, it's a big slide from Mali! Losing the car into the exit of turn 5. That's going to be them losing massive amounts of time. I don't think they're going to be losing too many positions, but they're going to be in a very dangerous spot of the track here, hoping to not collect anybody else here. Thankfully, no damage, but those tires are going to be screaming for pain.
Yeah, I think unfortunately they might have tried to catch up as much as possible, and with that, along with the lack of downforce from the aero wash, caused them to spun a little bit there, and definitely the most dangerous spot to spin. Luckily, we were able to recover without any more further incidents, but it's going to be a very strong drive just to catch up back to Leclerc in front. As you see Jordan Johnson now coming down into turn 6. Actually, is that turn 6 or is that turn 11? I think that's turn 6. Yeah, that is turn 6. As pretty strong here. 11-second gap to P2. That's going to be Jordan just relaxing, fuel saving, tire saving. All you have just to make sure they can cruise back home in one piece.
It's a very Max Verstappen kind of situation where you're in the front, you can control your pace, and you realize you have way more pace than you have in your pocket, so you don't even need to push that much. You can just lean back, relax a little bit. That helps you save your tires, save your fuel, so you just have all of the cards in your pocket. So I think, outside of like an unfortunate incident with like a lap traffic car or an incident in the pit lane, getting a drive-through penalty or something, I think it's going to be the race in the back for Plasma here. We also see a fight also developing between Jack Mace and Nico Lopez, actually, also all in here in P9 and P10. Nico Lopez has always been having kind of a quiet race. They're not going to be going around a lap traffic car. I think it's going to be the Porsche of Chepe. They're just moving around here, but everyone else seems to have spread out here so far. So that's just going to be down to just managing your pace, managing your tires, and just deciding when is going to be the time to pit.
Yeah, and Mali has pitted for the position. I think for fuel, is it a little bit too early? Actually, I've not been too focused on the time remaining, but if they are able to make sure that they get their pits right, maybe it's a good undercut. Since they have had a massive spun, it will be a good opportunity to cool down the tires, regain their position, reset themselves, and have a go again at this track that is very strong and very dangerous. Road Atlanta, as you can see here, right between traffic, and yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how Mali gets back their position one by one at the end of the race.
It seemed to have been the only decision for them to do with their big spin causing their rear tires to probably overheat. So it would make sense for them to go back into the pits, cool down the tires, or even get some fresh tires on here to get back on the fight. We're going to be also watching the fight between Klaus Steiermann and Skylar Vixen right behind them. Skylar Vixen has been gaining a couple of positions throughout the race here. They're currently sitting at P18 out of P7. We also see some more further cars going up into the pit lane to get their mandatory pit stop sorted out here. We'll also see another fight happening between Haku and Zine going almost side by side into the chicane of 10A, 10B. Not quite able to get that move to stick here, but Haku Isamitsa is all on charge at the moment as well, trying to get around here. Zine and mostly right behind there's going to be the Corvette of Mali, who has also already served their mandatory pit stop. So it's going to be interesting if Mali can just navigate this traffic nice and easy and get back onto the fight here, but it might also cost them in the long run.
Fighting for position here. Right now, I think Hakio might have to focus not just trying to overtake Zim right in front, but also make sure that they don't compromise the time as much to make sure that they don't lose the position to Mali right now because of having tractors in front and behind. They gotta make sure they nail every single apex as Mali runs a little bit wide just because they can't see the apex in front. And just like that, Mali has basically lost the position for now, and they have to regain their position as they continue on with the rest of the grid. They lost the position to that's a lap traffic, but luckily enough they just have to catch back to Hakio that's in front of them.
Yeah, that was going to be the issue with Mali, where they are still fighting for position, but they have already done their pit stop, whereas the cars ahead of them have not done their pit stop yet. So they're going to have to fight through those cars here, as we see a fight happening between Oily Rax and Bestbox happening again now on the exit of turn 6. Oily Rax was going to get like a really, excuse me, that was the yeah, that was actually never mind. That's going to be the car of Josiah Bosky. That's what I was mistaken about. But just going to be Josiah Bosky right up on the rear of Oily Rags. We're trying to have a run up into turn 8, 9, and towards the chicane here with Oily Rags coming up on the inside. There's going to be Josiah having a send on the outside, forcing that overtake moment here. But he wasn't quite able to get that send done here. Oily Rags holding on the position so far. But going back to that previous point with Mali in traffic at the moment, the cars have not done their pit stop yet, so have them losing their time fighting through those cars who have not yet done their pit stop yet, that might cost them more in the long run.
Yeah, that's going to be an unfortunate strategy that Mali has done, but given how they filled the car, that's gonna be a situation that they have to deal with, and now it's the time to think about it, whether you want to fight for the position to gain time, or you could just think about making sure that you are able to finish the race, because at the end of the day, the drivers do have to pit, and you might as well just minimize your risk by making sure that you have a good safe time behind the traffic in front. As you see Josiah Waski closing in on Oily Rax again, coming to turn 6 and turn 7, definitely stronger on the brakes compared to their competitors. I think that is the main advantage that Josiah has now climbing up the entire grid, is that they are very good on the brakes. As we see here, who is this? Hakio, yeah, and Mali still. Oh.
Yeah, I think just missed the fight between Haku Isamitsa and Mali. So we're gonna how can I come back to the race? Now gonna be seeing a fight between Josiah and Oily Rax going all to the same location into the turn 10A, 10B chicane complex. Again, Josiah trying to have a send on the outside, having a peek there, but Oily Rax was able to just get that better run into the chicane and keep on their position covered there. But with how many times Josiah has been having a peek on that same corner, I think it might just be a matter of time before he can just get that send made.
Well, maybe, but Oily Rax also knows how to squeeze Josiah enough that they cannot have a good run up into 10B. I think that's the difference between Oily Rax compared to the rest of the grid that Josiah has tried to overtake, is that Oily Rax knows how to defend just right enough and squeeze Josiah just right enough to make them lose their confidence coming down to 10A, and that has helped Oily Rax to maintain Josiah at the back of their car. But as you can see here, the gap between the two of them closes each lap coming down to turn 6 and turn 7. I think Josiah needs to make sure that they have a good run up into turn 7. That is very important for them, just to have a good run to the back straight, and that will give them a very good braking position down into turn 10, and that's going to be very important for the overtake. But for now, they have to recognize that they cannot keep doing this this move on the outside. They have to try to get on the inside of Oily Rax, which Oily Rax is trying very hard to not make that happen. But it's going to be a fight between the two of them, and I hope something does happen between the two of them.
You also see a slow car on the track. I think that would maybe just be JPEG Fox's Porsche there, just slowing down considerably to let the fighting cars ahead of him by here. So nothing to be concerned about that. But we're going to be just going back to that fight between Josiah and Oily Rax here. I think Oily Rax is also very much aware where Josiah wants to make the overtake down here. So Oily Rax is making sure to stay on his line, make sure to say that, no, you are not going to be going on the inside. I have my line, and if you want to get an overtake, you're going to have to do with the Harvey on the outside. We're going to be seeing again Josiah getting very close into Oily Rax's bumper, going into turn 3 and 4 towards the SS section here. Again, it's going to be just inching closer and closer on the entire track here. It seems to be just on the exit of turn 5 and towards turn 6, they just can never get close enough to get that move to stick here. Now they're going to be even closer than ever going up into turn 5. They might even have a scent into turn 6 here, not going down on this middle straight. We also see another lap car. I think that's going to be the car of Snowy. I think it's going to be the formatting of Snowy. But I have that might also put up a little bit of a range in the works for these two competitors here. They're going to be seeing just again even closer on the bumper of Raxos. This might spell the end for the McLaren moving car ahead of them. If Josiah can just get closer enough, they're going to be going inching closer, using that slipstream to their advantage. Now trying to have a peek on the inside of the 10A, and then on the outside into 10B. As they go door to door, side by side. Oh, what a little bit of an overlap here happening. Let's see if there's going to be Josiah having a dive on the inside, forcing out Oily back wide here. That's going to be again Oily now on the inside for 10B. Again now forcing Josiah on the outside line here. That's going to be again having a still side by side fight now going through 11, through 12 on that side, almost touching doors. It's going to be both of them just on the edge of their grip here, still side by side, still nobody has not been able to stick here. There's still side by side going into turn 1. Oh my god, this has been on almost a half a lap worth of fighting here. That's going to be finally Josiah getting a better run up into turn 1 and finally getting that move to stick after probably like 7 corners.
Brilliant racing from the two of them. Definitely a lot of respect has been given. And I'd say definitely Josiah has earned that position right now. Now that they are done in the top 10, it's going to be next, going to be Fast Fox as they try to start showing, gain back the time that they have lost from fighting with iRacing. And now Inigo Lopez, Suzuka, P8 getting hounded by Faz. Actually, they have done the move to overtake Faz, and now they have to make sure that Faz does not have the does not come back and gain back the position back from Suzuka. But right now, long straights, the Corvette might be able to stretch their wings. The McLaren, not the best in straights, but Faz is starting to catch up from the toe. But will it be close enough? You see here, about 10 coming down to turn 10. I think Suzuka will still have the position on P8 as you continue on the rest of the race.
That would have been a very opportunistic and bold move if they would have tried to make a third into turn. And they actually are going side by side. I'm not quite sure. There's going to be the car of Mali again.
Oh no!
I think they just also. Yeah, they just got their toe in the pits here, so I'm not sure if they had like an incident or a spin. We're going to hopefully see that on the replay. But going back into that fight between Festbox and Nico Lopez, never mind. We're going to be going on the replay now with Mali Kusens going up on the exit of 10B, just setting it a bit too wide here. And yeah, the car just went wide. Oh, a big hit into the bridge section as well, causing massive damage. So I think at that point the car was just undrivable, so they had to drive into the pits. So unfortunate mistake from the 29 driver there.
Yeah, it's also be a little bit unfortunate for where the position is, because that is the entry of the pit lane. And looking fortunate for Banley, there's no driver trying to get into the pit lane, or else that would have been a little bit of a dicey situation for the drivers that want to get into the pits. As we see Lopez still getting hounded by Fast Fox, now a little bit closer. As you see here, the gap here, about 2 tenths as we had last lap, but now at the start of the back straight with that, maybe Fast might have a good toe, but it's now up to Suzuka to have a good defense. Will they be able to defend the position? As we see Fast Fox on the inside, maybe strong on the brakes. Will they make it? They do make it, but do they make the corner? Yes, they do. Turn 10, turn A, turn 10A, turn 10B. And Fast has made the move for P7 in this position.
Yeah, very clean overtake into 10A, 10B here from Fastbox. Now just going to be on the charge to hopefully catch up to the rest of the pack here with Zezors and Anton Berspo and Katie and Robbie and Wachman and everybody else here on the grid. You're also seeing a couple of more cars as well going into the pits. And I think most of the cars are going to start to trickle in, get their fuel done here. Some drivers might also opt to get some more tires here. We're going to have to see how that's going to be sorting out here. Looking at our timing sheets so far, everyone from top there, it's going to be, I think it's Snowy. Oh, that front bumper is missing. Something seems to have happened to them to lose considerable amount of time, and that car is not looking healthy. Let's see if we can see on the replay what exactly had happened with them. We'll be watching. At this point, they have already had their issues, so that's going to be in the SS. So I believe there may have probably been some incident into the blind corner of turn 3 or turn 4 to see what exactly had happened. They're going to be just stricken on the side of the road here. So I think that may have been the end of the race for the 919 car.
Oh, that is not the smartest idea to drive. They do not have a headlight, so it would be a good idea for them to tow back to the pits. Oh, coming down into the SS, did they lose the car? Oh, as they do, they ride the curb a bit too strong and it's head first into the barrier. Oh, that is unfortunate for the Mustang. Oh, it's gonna not like the outcome of that car, but that is unfortunate for them as they tow back into the pits.
Yeah, that was a nasty hit from the 919 Mustang right there. That's also going to be the risky thing about the SS, where you are expected to take that flat out, almost flat out the entire way here. But if you go a bit too much on the curb, you get your car tires on the grass here. You can lose your grip, and then you can just spin out into the grass here. We're now going to be seeing our first top 5 car, Robbie Kelly, hopping on into the pits here, getting some fresh fuel. And I don't think there's going to be new tires on this car here, so we're going to have to see how their pit stop strategy is going to be working out here. But yeah, on that previous point about the SS, it's almost a full commitment corner sequence. We need to be taking it flat out, but a wheel on the grass here, that's just going to be costly to do. As we saw with Snowy, that just causes their car to completely spin out of control and hit the wall very, very hard. Going back onto this fight now with Josiah Wusky, and that's going to be the car of Jack Mason. Also, it's going to be it's going to be Oily Rax and F-Speed. Also, there's some lap traffic ahead, also ahead and behind them. But there's going to be Josiah Wusky now having a fight with Jack Mace going up into turn 1. Actually, that's going to be, I think that's Martin Oliveira right behind them as well, trying to lap around these cars here. But it's going to be Josiah getting close up into the rear bumper of Jack Mace into turn 1, into turn 2, 3, and 4. It's not going to be quite, this is not going to be an overtaking spot for anything, so it's going to be a very slow position going back and forth in a single line here through the SS towards turn 5. But I think if Josiah can get that sent into turn 5, get a good exit, this might be his chance to get past the Corvette ahead.
Yeah, definitely Josiah's plan here would be to, as they flash the driver in front, would be to get a good run down on the Corvette in front, just so they can stretch the legs out. The Mercedes right here, as you see from Josiah's setup, pretty low on downforce given how much they can stretch the legs on the back straight. I think that's the plan, as you can see here, already so close to the car in front. I think with that bit of an overrun along with the toe, as Jack Mace has a very clear track in front, might get them the position to have a send down the inside here into turn 10, but that will mean that will need to have Josiah be close enough, and given the gap that we have here, close to 10 as they see coming down into turn 10, as they do, I think Jack Mace just gave the position to them as well as they come into turn 10 and turn 10B. Right now, currently, Jack Mace will have Pascati behind them, fighting position, but that will be Josiah right now up the grid for P11 right now, but flashing happening between the two of them. Who is that actually in front of them?
That's actually car number 9, Martin Oliveira, going up, lapping around traffic into the top of the field here. We also going to be probably overtaking the car of Josiah Wusky here pretty soon. Not much else fighting happening here at the moment. And looking at the gaps, you've also seen Katie Fox also going into the pit lane, and it seems like it's actually now it's going to be Jordan Johnson also just finishing their mandatory pit stop and going back on the track here. Still with a pretty commanding lead here. Walkman is currently still leading the race so far provisionally, but they still have to get into the pit stop here with about a 20-second gap here. They're definitely going to be sliding back behind Plasma after they're done with their own mandatory pit stop.
Yeah. Oh, as we got information here, Plasma having the fastest pit stop, 17.7. I see here 27 for the pit stop. That's gonna be, I think, this coming down to the fact that Plasma very comfortable with that pace, doesn't need to worry about fuels. Definitely saved a lot of fuel during their slow cruise, well, relatively slow cruise for them, and just like that, you can see here pit stop definitely saving a bunch of time for them, and it's gonna be a very even longer stretch for them, as we see across, as maybe Walkman is in the pits right now for their pit stop. I think we're going to have to see how big the gap is to P2 once Walkman comes up from the pits.
With about 20 minutes of the race left to go here, these are going to be the last of the cars here, driving on the last final leaders of the cars. We're going to be associating a fight between Oily Rax and Pescini going side by side into turn 1. Oily Rax with a nice set on the inside and managed to get just on the inside of the RNG Racing Mercedes ahead and get back into that fight here. But yeah, with Walkman and Klaus Steinman be the last of the cars to finish their mandatory pit stop. That's just going to be gold down to pace. It's going to be see how fast you can drive, if you can catch up to the cars ahead of you, and see if you're being able to save your tires, save your fuel a little bit better here. Now we're going to be watching Klaus Steinman going out of the pits here, see if there's going to be slotting up into anywhere traffic. You're going to be seeing, I think it's going to be the car of JPEG right behind them, but they are quite far down. I'm not quite sure why Klaus went into the pit stop again. I'm going to have another timing here, but
I think that was I think for me, I did see an incident when we were busy with the fight between P2 and P3, where I think Klaus had an incident early on. I think they had to come in for repairs, and unfortunately this is their mandatory pit stop just to get the fuel, to get enough fuel for the end of the race.
Yeah, that seems to be the case here, but yeah, now we're going to be watching another fight happening between Oily Rax and Pescetti, still trying to have a peek up on the McLaren car ahead of them, but it seems like now that Oilerak's got that move done in turn 1. They're just going to be getting away, cruising, and hoping catching up back up into the car of Jackma's head, about 8 seconds ahead of. And with about 20 minutes of the race to go here, it still could be anyone's race to see who can get that top position here. But looking at our times so far, looking at our last laps here, everyone seems to be running about the same race, with most of the drivers going in the 120s, 190s. It's only really Plasma who's been able to get a 118 at all here, and Plasma also been able to get a whopping 118.1 as their fastest lap, a whole half a second faster than Katie Timberfox or anyone else on the grid for that matter. I'm going back to this fight between Pescetti and Oilerak. So now going through the SS now on the exit of turn 5 and towards turn 6 to see if Pescetti having a peak on the outside. They see if they can carry that speed, and not quite enough for them to get a send mate here. But despite them losing the position to Oilerak, so that McLaren, Pescetti is definitely not done with this race, and they're fighting for that P12 spot.
And definitely have to be a little bit careful, extending the track limits ever so slightly on the exit of turn 7. A little bit of the wrong move, your car might bottom out and might have an incident. But for now, that has definitely benefited them right now, coming at the very back of Oilerak here. Maybe a heavy move, but they both coming down back to back, coming down into braking on turn 10. Not close enough for the position, but Pescetti definitely telling Oilerak that they are definitely there. They are ready to pressure them in case of anything that happens.
Yeah. It seemed like they actually just backed off, because that definitely would have been an opportunity for them to make a send into 10A or 10B. So it could be that they're actually bump drafting, trying to catch up into Jack Mace ahead. That's about 9 seconds ahead of him. But gotta have to see how this fight develops here. Then again, just going really close bumper to bumper through turn 3 and 4 towards the SS here. And yeah, I'm not quite sure why they did not make that send here, but it's just, basically it's usually one of those kinds of drivers who are more conservative with how they're driving. They don't usually make those really bold sends, overtakes from 10 postal codes back here. So that just could be down to basically patient, biding his time with a big send, with a big off-track moment going off turn 5. That's going to be another peak up on the inside of turn 6 here. But yeah, Pescetti is usually one of those more patient drivers who are just going to be waiting for their time and just trying to force a mistake from the car ahead of them to make a move instead of being super aggressive.
Yeah, as you can see, both drivers coming almost ever so slightly closer. I think it's going to be down to who cracks under pressure right now. But Oilerak still very stable and basically just ignoring the car behind as the Mercedes tries to find every other way to distract the driver in front, just to make sure that they can crack under pressure. But that has definitely cost them a little bit of time. But for now, it's going to be a very strong fight between the two of them. I think Pescetti is trying to figure out where they're able to have a good run, and that's going to be I think for the Mali here, taking in position for P11 next to Skyler, side by side, both into turn 10. Actually no, actually no, that's Zizor. I said Zim. That's Mali has overtaken. Sorry, and slowly climbing back up the grid since the incident that we had seen earlier. Hopefully, they're able to get back the positions. They are still one position lower than their qualifying position, so they can still fight for their P19 that they qualified for. Hopefully that has happened. Skyler though in P19 has gained 7 positions since the start of the race. That's going to be very beneficial for them for the points in the series. Oilerak right now side by side with Pescetti. Oh, turn 6, turn 7. Nope, still going strong, the two of them. Oilerak still keeping Pescetti get back off them just to make sure they have about 15 minutes remaining to this race. About 17 right now, but I just have to hold them off another 17 minutes, and they might be able to keep the position of P12 right then.
Holding off that advance from the Mercedes car behind them for 50 minutes is going to be a tall order from Oilerak here, but we're going to see how they're going to be doing it again. Pescetti getting almost to the rear bumper of the McLaren into 10A and 10B. I think they backed out a little bit to avoid having any incidents into the chicane corner here, but it seems like at the moment, looking at our lap times, Pescetti is the faster driver of these two here. It's going to be just down to Oilerak just making sure their car is in the right spot to defend from any advances from the Mercedes behind them and keep that in place. And also going back on the grid, we also have Josiah Waski now caught up to the bully car of Inico Lopez, now going through turn 5 towards turn 6 to see if Josiah hoping to get that better launch into turn 6 to get that move on the outside where it seems to have been doing most of these moves here for the entire race. So that's going to be not quite close enough, but it's going to be inching closer and closer and closer. I think if you're within a couple tenths, 2 or 3 tenths as we go onto this backstretch here, which Josiah is at the moment, he might have an opportunity to make a send into 10A and get that overtake to stick.
Yeah, I think that's as you said here, Pescetti definitely has to figure out something, but But for now, as you see here, Zizor fighting. It's Josiah, is it?
It's
Oh,
Josiah
right
and
inside. Yeah, on the inside of Suzuka, trying to psych him out, but Suzuka still head down. Basically, oh, maybe Cascadi, as we were mentioning here, going close side by side next to Rex, might have the move done. Not enough. They backed off slightly for the corner, and I think that they have to really figure out why they want to go for it, because even though they might be still behind them, having a braking zone on the not on the racing line might affect their run in the long run. So they as we see here, who's that? That's gone off track. That is the
I think
Mercedes
that's
of
the Mercedes of
Plasma.
Plasma right ahead of him, yeah. Just going up on the lap traffic. And yeah, it seems like Biscotti is very tentative to try and make any kinds of moves onto the cars ahead of them, and now having to get out of the way of the leading Mercedes ahead, and that's going to cost them many seconds. So they're going to have to bide their time and hopefully find another way to get past Holding ahead of them. But yeah, it seems like they're very tentative about getting those moves. They're now going to be going back into the fight between Josiah and Inigo Lopez, going towards turn 6 again. They've lost a bit more time, so not quite close enough for an overtaking opportunity here. We're going to see if Josiah can get that better send, going up into the back straight towards 8 and 9 and towards turn 10. Not quite. We can see quite a big difference here between these two competitors, between Josiah's Mercedes and Biscotti's Mercedes, whereas Biscotti seems to be kind of tentative and careful about not causing any incidents. Josiah seems to be full elbows out, just almost bullying his way past these cars, especially with those many stints he's made into the chicane to get back up into the top 10.
Yeah, I think also it just comes down to experience as well. Josiah has been racing quite a number of years here in Simufur, as well as I assume iRacing as well, and I think they're just really confident with the Mercedes that they have driving right now, and I think with that they definitely have the advantage in terms of having the ability to send it just when he knows the limits of the car is.
Absolutely, indeed. And we're also going to be seeing something weird happening between, I think it was Skyler's car, who's going unusually slow on the track. I'm not sure if they had some more incidents. I think they were fighting with Mali at some point, but it was quite funny. Maybe we can catch that out on the replay at some point, but we're going to have to go back to that. Actually, we're going to be seeing that replay rewind and see what exactly had happened. It's just losing up. Oi! A bit of an awkward moment. That's a big hit into the barrier here on the main straight. That's very weird on how they actually tried to let the overtaking cars by here. We're going to have to we see that in the stewards, what exactly had happened with them, but the car seems to still be going here, so maybe the car is still drivable, but not the way Skyler wanted to have that happen. Now, going to be going back to that fight between Josiah and Suzuka. Now going to get into 10A, 10B. Josiah again not close enough to get that move to stick, going up into the exit of 10 and 11 and towards 12. So it's going to be very frustrating for Josiah. They had that early accident that had lost them so many positions, and now almost up into their previous position again. But it's just going to be this big shark right in front of them that's just holding off their advance. And with only about 13 minutes of the race left to go, there's not going to be much more opportunities for them to make some moves there. Now, going to be going back into a fight between F-Spirit and Klaus Steiermann. Now going down into that 10A, 10B complex here with Klaus now on the inside of 10A and trying to push up on F-Spirit on 10B, but not quite enough. F-Spirit was able to get the better launch into 10B and then keep their position.
It's going to be a very close fight between the two of them. Lap times, I think we're going to see them pretty close to each other, and I think with that, it's going to be a very close fight between the two of them. 19.4 last lap for F-Spirit, 18.8 for Klaus in P16. It's going to be a matter of time before Klaus is able to get F-Spirit, but I think before then, as you see them big mounting on the curbs for the Mustang, definitely have to make sure you don't get a slowdown from these situations like this, but it's going to be interesting to see how the Mustang defends from the Lamborghini behind them.
Now going back into the fight between Suzuka, I think that's going to be Josiah finally getting that mistake onto the inside of 10A, able to get that launch into from the previous corner to get up into the overtake domestic here. That's going to be Josiah. I'd be able to open their wings and catch up into Zizor, who's been having a fairly quiet race up in P8 at the moment. I don't think they've had any kind of fighting happening between anybody. I don't think they're going to be complaining about that much. But it seems like Suzuka is not quite done yet with keeping that position up here, but going up into Josiah, going up to Plasma with about 10 minutes left of the race to go here. They just have been in a class of their own, and yeah, 20 seconds from Walkman behind them, Robbie killing another 15 seconds behind from there. So I think Jordan Johnson Plasma has had this covered now.
Yes, you can see them comfortably taking every curb, basically with clockwork precision. it's at this point that I think there's just going to be an autopilot the entire race. Outside from the couple of incidents that we see here, trying to avoid lapping traffic. But yeah, for them, it's a walk in the park. Even the cars P2, P3, and P4 kind of settled in their own positions, but that doesn't mean that the race is over. We still have 10 minutes here as we see Pasquetti having a fight with iRacing here. Still on the charge, but when will this move actually happen? You can see here not much time left. About 10 minutes remaining as the clock ticks over to 15 minutes elapsed for this race, and they have to make it soon. 10 minutes is not a lot of time, and with 1 minute 18 laps, you only have like close to 8 laps, maybe even less, to get this move done as they try desperately, but they definitely cannot shake the strong spirits that iRacing has right now for this race.
Yeah, iRacing seems to be very, very bold in their defense. They're putting their car in just the right spot into turn 8 and turn 9 to prevent Pasquetti from getting a good overlap on the left or right side and preventing that overtake from happening. You already see, like, only after, like, being like a couple seconds behind from iRacing, Pasquetti was able to catch up that difference in just a matter of a couple laps here, and now back up into that fight here with iRacing. And again, you can see Pasquetti is just breaking so much earlier than iRacing is going through all of these corners here. That's just not quite able to get those moves to stick here. It's going a bit slow into the SS section here. Is again helping them to close up onto the bumper of and rear wing of that McLaren ahead of them. Again, going through the SS towards turn 5, a bit of a dap on the brakes here towards turn 5. Now on the middle straight here, a bit of a loose over here from the Mercedes, costing them a little bit of time here. But again, just trying to inch themselves closer here. But it seems like now we're going to be watching another fight happening between Adam Burstbo. I think it's going to be the car of lap traffic. Actually, the best one's happening just right between them. They actually were fighting for position, so I think we just missed the overtake that happened between them.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we might have to go back to take a look, but Vespa going strong here, coming down to P6, 3 positions up from the previous position. Let's see what's happened here with the Mercedes. Seems to be having issues maybe, but Fastfox, strong dive from the 2 of them, but it seems like Anton just gave the position to Fez. Not sure what's happened with Anton. Maybe there's some technical issues that they're trying to figure out, but for now, Fez gets the position of P6.
And going back into the fight between Klaus and F-Spirit, again has really lit up here. Now going up into the chicane of 10A, 10B. Klaus almost touching the bumper of the Ford Mustang ahead of it. The cow chasing the Mustang here in a very weird turn of events here. But it's going to be, again, with only about 8 minutes of the race left to go, I think that's going to be at most, I'd say 8, 9 laps here. So there's not going to be many more opportunities for Klaus to get these positions done here. And I think Klaus could be kind of disappointed in themselves because they were quite far up ahead here in the top 5, but it's just that one mistake that caused them to lose many positions, and now they're just stuck behind this big Mustang ahead of them, just causing them to limit their damage control capabilities.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how things go. As you see here, Klaus actually had a 119.38 last lap and Aspirit a 119.47. I think Klaus definitely has the faster car, but Aspirit with the big Mustang able to just park it just right for the Lamborghini to have issues in terms of visibility as well as just having a good run. This Mustang is pretty strong on the straights, and if Klaus is unable to get them just right at maybe sector 1 or sector 3, I think it's going to be very annoying for them to be able to catch up and overtake on the straights. As you see here, very much a lot of traffic in front of them. Maybe for positions, maybe for actually that's lap traffic in front of them. So it's gonna be annoying for the 2 drivers. Maybe Klaus might have an advantage where F-Spirit might be held up by traffic here. You do not want to have traffic hold up to you, especially you can see here now Klaus going side by side to turn 11, turn 12. There's gonna be a compromised line for the Mustang, but Klaus also slightly caught up. It's gonna see who is able to get through traffic as cleanly as possible at the last few minutes of this race.
I think that was the car of Hakuo Isamitsu that were just going around there with a car, and now they seem to have lost a little bit of time. It's going to be that exit of turn 12 where you need to really have the exact perfect line to take it full speed, and if you can't do that, you're going to be losing massive amounts of time. But that does not seem to have slowed down Klaus at all because he's caught up right again to that horsey car head. And again, more lap traffic with JPEG Fox now pulling up along to the side of the track here, the fighting cars here. And with only about 5 minutes left to go here, but so the only 2 fights we have left here is between Pasquetti and Klaus. It seems like both of them are just fighting for the time of their lives here to get these results done here. Now it's going to be Klaus.
Oh no! What happened to Katie?
That's Katie. That's Katie's
no.
car with the front bumper missing. I think they may have some incident. We're going to see that immediately on the replay what exactly had to happen. They're now going through to the SS section here, going up full speed here. I think there may have been Oh,
Oh
it's the same thing that
no!
happened with
Too much
Snowy.
curb.
Too much on the inside curb, but that's a huge hit right into the barriers here. An unfortunate catastrophe on the dying minutes of the race here. They were so strong in the top 5. Now going to be retired from the race.
Oh, that is very unfortunate for the drivers' favorites. Oh, that is gonna they're gonna be so gutted for that race. Oh,
Oh, that is
seems like we
just...
have more incidents coming up, but for now, oh, that is Reese in the grid at the final moments of the race. I think drivers are starting to get tired from the 1 hour racing here, but as you can see here, at the end of the day, they raced. Oh, as you see, oh, touching. Lost a bit of the rear bumper here. Definitely a little bit problems from the lap traffic. Not sure why they are hitting in though.
That was very weird. I mean, they seem to have been coming together with the car 777 of F-Spirit and trying to lap around them, and not quite sure what that was enough to warrant them to go to the pits. And now we're going to be seeing also Wolfing Fox there right ahead of it, also slowing down F-Spirit considerably. Like skips now an opportunity for Gian, for Klaus now to get right up alongside into this long straight of turn 8, turn out. That's going to be going a drag race into the final few minutes of the race here. There's not going to be that many more opportunities for Klaus to make a move to center, so he's going to be on elbows out full send here. Now it's going to be seen going side by side into 10A, 10B. Klaus with getting a bit of that overlap here, trying to get that run ups here. It's going to be F-Spirit getting a better launch into 10A, but it's going to be now Klaus on the inside into 10B, with again almost going door to door, side by side into 10, 11, and 12, but almost coming together through to 12. But again, F-Spirit just barely holding off on that advance and keeping their position in P14.
And they have to hold on for just about 4 minutes, slightly shorter than that for maybe a couple more laps, maybe 3, as depending on where Plasma is. And if they are able to, they might be able to secure their P14 right here, as Klaus is still closing in, almost going sideways there into turn 3 right now. Back to back turn 4 down into SS into turn 5. They gotta make sure they don't crack under the pressure, and Klaus is giving them all the pressure they can give at the end of this race.
We can also see right behind, there's also another fight happening between Wolfing Foxdale and Hakio Isometsa for the P16 and P17 spots here. Hakio Isometsa being able to caught up right up into the bumper of that Corvette due to that kerfuffle with the lap traffic as well here. So it's all coming up alive on these final few corners of the race here. We also see again a fight coming alive here with F-Spirit. Now be able to just losing position to Klaus. I think it's just going to be on the exit of turn 7 where they just lost all of that speed, and Klaus finally able to get that move to stick, and that's going to be to see if F-Spirit can use that power of the Mustang to catch up back onto the Lamborghini of Klaus going into 10A and 10B. I don't think it's going to be close enough to make a city, but he's going to be doing it. He's going to be trying it, but it's not going to be close enough. It's going to be again with Klaus shutting up the door on the Mustang behind them, not able to get that move to stick, and it's going to be, hopefully we can see it back in on the replay to see what happened to the overtake to happen. We're going to have to keep watching it for now, because they're going to be F-Spirit getting really close onto the bumper of Klaus into turn 1. There's not going to be much overtaking opportunities into this SS section here, but if you can just get close enough through turn 2, turn 3, turn 4 to the SS and get into that vital overtaking zone in turn 6, that could be his last opportunity to claim the position back. Getting back up into the replay between Klaus and F-Spirit here. I think it's going to be on the exit of turn 7 where the mistake happened. Oh. And yeah, it seems like a very awkward bounce onto the curb of turn 3 gave Klaus the opportunity to just make a send on the inside. And that was the one mistake Klaus needed to get into get back up into P14 here. Now we're going to be actually, again, with now Oily Rax and Pescetti again with their fighting really late up again with Pescetti again a bit tentative on the bumper of Oilerback's, not quite able to get that move to stick. It's been like half the race here with Pescetti hounding on the rear of the bluey McLaren here, but with all that pressure being mounted on Oilerback's here, the Silver Championship winner from the ACC Silver Championship, and just holding all that massive pressure from Pescetti with I think only 2 or 3 more laps to go.
Yeah, it's gonna be 2 or 3 more laps depending on where Plasma is, but yeah, not much time left for this race to have the move. Pescetti though, having last lap being a 120.18 and Oily Rex being a 120.26, they definitely have the pace for it. They just need to have the confidence on the straight to give the lunge at turn 10. It has to happen within these 2 laps, or they will not have any more opportunities. Final minute in this race, and they really have to do it now. It's now or never as they come into turn 6. The gap now 4 tenths. They definitely can catch up. As you see here, the gap is coming in and out, but for them, definitely a possibility. As you see here, 2 tenths down into the back straight. They definitely have to move here now. They have to get the the toe and they have it. They just have to get working on.
Yeah,
But we'll have to see that later.
Yeah, sorry. With Plasma now going across the finish, I think this is going to be a white flag. It's now confirmed. Final lap for Plasma to see if they can get the move to stick. You're not going to be going back into the fight between iRacing and Pescetti. Again, Pescetti having a bit of a peek on the inside into turn A, but again, not quite able to get almost touching. Oh my God, that was almost a contact right here from the Bluey car ahead of them, going a bit too fast on the exit of 10B. Just luck there that they were not able to, they didn't come together here. And again, that might just be a bit too far for Pescetti to make another move to stick here. We're going to have to see how they're going to be able to get close here. Now we're going to be going into a fight between Zezors and Josiah. Josiah now caught up to the BMW M4 of Zezors here. Now got into the exit of turn 6. This might be one of our last chances for Josiah to get that move to stick. I think there's going to be one more lap after this for Josiah and Zezors to do here, but it's going to be Zezors just hoping that Mercedes is not going to be getting close enough, with also more lap cars ahead of us. That's going to be the cars of Zine and Weiss up ahead, maybe causing some issues for the two cars. But it's going to be Zine on the inside line, covering up the advance from Josiah. Again, not quite close enough. So I think it's going to be down to the last lap to see if these two are going to be getting up into the getting that final place lane from the BMW M4 ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how these two are able to get into it, as Jordan Plasma coming down into straight, and there will be checker flag for him as we see Plasma clearly 28 seconds. The next car behind that is Walkman in P2. That's going to be very fun for them, but as you come back into the action for Josiah, now gap between Zezor is about 3/10. They have to close it down before the back straight. Josiah setup, we've seen the Mercedes time and time again be able to have a very good run. They have to make sure the gap is close enough for them to have a good lunge, and that will make sure that Josiah will have a very strong secure for P7. But for now, they have to make sure they are as close as possible. Do not give any good opportunities. Make sure that they are calculative. They are patient. Coming to turn 6, turn 7, 2/10, 3/10. They are, the gap's closing in. They have the move. They might have the move. They are now 6/10 side by side. Josiah with their strong setup, will have the advantage here. Side by sides now already. I think Josiah will have the move for P7 right at the end of the race. Zezor might not like it, but that is going to happen as we see side by side. Oh, just about there. Oh, no. That is unfortunate for the Mercedes driver. That is not great.
Oh, last lap, last quarter kerfuffle and a catastrophe for Zezors and Josiah. That's going to be definitely looked at into the stewards. That's going to be a P7 for Zezors, but I'm not sure that's going to be sticking. That's going to be a very hard racing between the BMW and the Mercedes here. That's just costing Josiah many positions right on the last lap. That's an utter disaster. We're gonna have to see back on the replay to see what exactly had happened there. Josiah barely in control of that car already. An utter disaster. All of that effort they had made to get back up into the fighting positions here now just utterly lost. Yeah, thankfully, with all the other lap cars here, they're actually not going to be losing any positions from that time. But what a finish to a race, with Josiah now crossing the finish line as the last car of the grid here. And what a finish. I'm going to be going back up onto that replay between Zezors and Josiah to see what exactly had happened. It's what's going to be Zezors getting a poor launch into turn 7 that gave Josiah the overlap to get up side by side to 8 and 9. And let's see if they're I think Zezors just tried to give a squeeze onto the side of Josiah here, trying to get as close as possible, but it's like, yeah, just a little bit too close on the inside of Josiah, trying to squeeze a bit too much on the inside of the corner here, causing them to clip on the rear bumper of that Mercedes and causing them to spin out. And another disaster for an unfortunate end for an otherwise very hard race between them.
Yeah, that is very unfortunate for them, but unfortunately, at least Josiah didn't lose too much positions at P8, and that's going to be the last of the drivers for the grid, and the results are in for this week. As we get Plasma finishing off strong in P1, and we have Walkman as well finishing in P2 in the Corvette, RK P3, Guiando in P4, Fez finishing the P5 here. Pretty strong results for Fez. Anton in P6, Zezor in P7, as long as you see the result just then. Josiah in P8, that's going to be looked at by the stewards possibly. Inigo Lopez, Suzuka at P9, Jack May at P10. Ooh. Yep, as you can see here, pretty strong from the drivers in top 10, and you see continue from P11, Oily Rags down in P11, as we have P12, that's Pescetti. Athena Leclerc, that's Maple in P13, Klaus in P14, F Spirit as well. The two of them we seen fighting for the last 10 minutes or so. More than that, at P15. Akio Isomesta at P16, Wolfing P17, Mali P18, Zine P19, Skylar P20, pretty strong results from all of them. William Schlesinger, that's Reese at P21, KD with the unfortunate spin down in the lasters at P22, JPAC. Really good, 4 places increase since qualifying, that's P23, Snowy with the unfortunate incidents along with KD as well at P24, P25, Kyle and Mooney at with the Corvette, P26 at Spiral, and last place on this grid that will be Turbo at P27.
Yeah, I think it was Snowy, Kyle, and Spiral and Chuba who were the retirements of the places, so unfortunately no points for them. But what an incredible fight from like all the way up from the top 5 into the last dregs of the points here in the top 20s here. And yeah, a very commanding result from Jordan Johnson. Congratulations to them. Also, we do want to give a congratulations to Robbie Kelly Giando. Actually, not Robbie Kelly. It was Wackman and Robbie Kelly who were able to round out the top 3 here. But yeah, with this race finally concluded, now next time I'm gonna have to double check on my calendar here. Yeah, next time it's gonna be Oschersleben in Germany where we're gonna be having our next race. And I think from what we've seen from the fighting between Snetterton and Rodan at that night, I think it's just gonna be even more exciting action happening this time.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. I think next week, likely I'll be driving it, so we're gonna have Katie here for commentating with Denak, and it's gonna be very interesting to see what happens next week. So tune in next week to see. I think we're gonna have a time shift though, if I remember correctly, if I see the issue, because daylight savings is coming around, and it's gonna be very interesting to see drivers be able to come in maybe at different times. Might affect some drivers, but we'll see who joins in for next week.
We will see. But for now, that's going to be it from all of us in the commentary team. This has been the second round of the Simufur iRacing GT3 Championship. I want to be saying a big thank you to everybody who's tuning on the stream here, and a big thank you for Paliku'i here in the background, providing us all of this exciting exciting action, all the camera angles, and all the replays from all of us. And for me and Newbie, I want to be saying a thank you, everybody, and have a good night. We'll see you all next week.
Bye.